All right, so I'm selling my iPad mini, and I've had a lot of strong opinions on the iPad mini, at one point, it being my favorite iPad. But the reason I'm selling this is because of this. I'm selling the iPad mini because of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And not just the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I saw it when I owned the 14 Pro Max. And with these Max phones and the size of them, I found way too much overlap with the phone size and the iPad size, and I found myself about 8 out of 10 times always going with my iPhone. Now, the iPad mini had some uses, and it had a lot of uses that were beneficial, and the main one is using the Apple Pencil with it and writing notes and scripting and storyboarding and stuff. But as I found my scripts and storyboards getting a little bit more intense, and I found myself typing more, I found myself using my iPad Pro a lot more, that being the 12.9 inch with a keyboard attached, and using it more so as a laptop hybrid. And that's ultimately what I want the iPad to be used for. So I found my usage of the iPad mini dwindling down day by day, and ultimately finding myself using my phone when it became an option of using either the phone or the iPad mini and using it as a tablet. Now, don't get me wrong, the iPad mini is a great product. I've had it for, I guess at this point, maybe a year and a half, which in reality is not that long. But I had it and got my use out of it for what I wanted to use it for. And in my opinion, I just outgrew it. I outgrew it in terms of it became useless for what I was using a tablet for. Now, what I use a tablet for is what I kind of related to and talked about a little bit earlier. And it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of drawing, it's a lot of note taking. And this screen real estate is just too small for me. It's too small at this point, and someone who has bad handwriting, someone who needs to take their time when they write just because of the rush my handwriting is, I always found myself going to the larger tablet. And then when it came to traveling, I did a lot of traveling this past year and this year, and I find myself always taking the iPad Pro simply because of the size. The iPad mini was too small. It was so small on a plane to use. It was so small to watch content to use. And it just didn't serve a purpose for me anymore. So for me, I talk about a lot of times how the tablet gets lost in translation of kind of the use for it, at least for me. And I found myself having too much overlap. And the overlap comes from, like I mentioned earlier, the iPhone 16 Pro Max to the iPad mini, and then the overlap from the 12.9 inch to my 16-inch MacBook. There's too much overlap with the iPad. So for me, I think the perfect iPad is the 11-inch. So as I don't have the 11-inch in my hands right now, you're probably going to see me with an M4 iPad Pro 11-inch in the near future, and using that as kind of my hybrid between my phone and my laptop, and keeping that is basically the hybrid tablet, something I can type on, something I can draw on, something I can write on, and bringing back the use of what a tablet was meant to be used for, and that is productivity, that is using it in leisure, that is using it to travel, that is using it when you don't want to take a laptop. And I'm really going to test it out that way, because I think I've just outgrown the two sizes of iPads I've had for what I want to use them for. There's also some things kind of from a tech standpoint that I really could not stand. The first being the bezels. These are thin bezels, but the OS and iPad OS for the iPad mini is like shrunk in, and it doesn't use all of the screen real estate, and that was something that bothered me. Another thing that bothered me was it's not 120 hertz, it's 60 hertz. It doesn't have that ProMotion display, and for a normal person, you don't really notice it. But if you're going from a laptop that's ProMotion display, an iPad Pro that's ProMotion display, and an iPhone that's ProMotion display, you really notice going from 120 hertz to 60 hertz. And that was another thing that was starting to get to me, was the fact that I would always reach for whatever the higher refresh rate was, just because that's what my eye was used to, and it's something I notice. And like I said, the normal person does not notice it, but I'm a nerd with that, and I noticed that. Now, me and the iPad mini have had really good times, but kind of, I think, evolution with this channel and evolution with tech is you have to let go of the things you don't use. And with this kind of niche and what I'm into, you collect a lot of expensive gear over time, and it kind of just sometimes sits there. And that's what I saw with a lot of my cameras that I sold. And that's what I'm seeing with kind of my iPad collection right now, is that some of them are collecting dust, and it's time to part ways with the one that, in my opinion, has been collecting dust the most over time. So with that, it's time to say goodbye to the iPad mini. This thing has been through a lot with me. It's been through a lot of storyboarding, a lot of airplanes, a lot of just everything. It's been through a lot with me, and it's time to part ways. And this sounds like a funny video that I'm parting ways with a piece of technology, but it's something I'm passionate about. So for me, letting go of technology is a step in a direction of growth, and I get to look forward to something new. So with that, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is kind of just like an update, and yeah, that's really it. That's all I wanted to really talk about on here. No crazy B-roll, no crazy transitions, no crazy storyline. Just me, my cameras, and my thoughts, and my iPad mini. But with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.